dooba 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 dooba. Ba dooba 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 dooba. Oh, there it is. Oh, hello. Hi, I didn't see you there. Welcome to twitch.tv/Ronan Pawn live stream on twitch.tv/Ronan Pawn. Girl, I'm gonna tell you, man, now. This one time, man, I was in this, this kind of a coffee bar, this kind of a dive place at about 4 a.m., and just gotten off shift delivering papers for the Oakland Press. And hell yeah. Until I walked up. I sat down on a little stool in front of a bar. And this lady, she done come up to me. This waitress girl. I'd call her a girl, but man, the highway miles on her. That was a lady. Yeah, and I said to the lady, lady, girl, lady, why don't you give me a cup of coffee, black, let's say a tuna melt sandwich. And she said, man, I've already got one of those ready. It's kind of like I knew you were coming, kind of like I was ready, or like the last guy ordered the same thing and I just kind of pulled it off from underneath the hot plate. And she put it in front of me, man, and I looked down at that coffee and I looked down at that tuna melt sandwich, and I swear to you, you gotta believe me, most people don't. I swear to you. I swear to you, that lady and me, we both sat there and we watched as that tuna melt sandwich got up and sort of stumbled, kind of walked, kind of half drunk like, but like a sandwich would, because that's what it was. Ow. Kind of stumbled off the plate that she served it on and sort of walked its way over to the coffee. And man, I swear to God, if me and that lady didn't watch that tuna melt sandwich beat the ever-loving shit out of that coffee. It was a sight to behold, I tell you, oh boy, oh my. And for the life of me, that coffee was just too weak to defend itself. Welcome to 2022, everyone. Hello, I am the Ronan Pawn, a cute Sharky, subbing with his Prime subscription 2 months on a 1-month streak. Cute Sharky. Welcome back. First one in chat here today. I saw you show up first. You did it. Wow, it's a good thing that the mic was open that whole time that I was in Tom Waits' character, because I wouldn't have noticed. I just would have been here doing... Yeah. Like Guy 89, hello to you, Pawn. Happy New Year. How is it going? It's going. It's a whole new year. Don't have to remember any of that shit that happened before, right? Smoking the funky lettuce. Do we have any? Lady Pawn. No, not now. Pawn has gotten into the medicine cabinet again. Maybe. Knew you were a really good whiskey? What? Just finished watching all of your XCOM 2 videos. Oh, Psycho Z. And I'll say it's very relatable. Wasn't good gameplay, but it's very relatable. Welcome to the live stream. Hello, a guy called Pi. I see you here as well. Yes, we're all early. We're all early when I start late. Because maybe 5:30 is the new time at which we start these things. I don't know. I'm experimenting. What have we done? Who put... You see that up there? Who put like a smiley face in front of the word import? Don't put that there. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is my Python code. It's Kerbal. We're doing Kerbal Space Program. It's in this other tab. It's ready to go. Don't worry about it, okay? This is my Python code for what I'm calling FFmpeg video stream. I have released it as of yesterday, as of January 1st, 2022. My code for this little it's not a library. It's a script. My code for this script is now available to you for your edification. Probably don't learn anything from it, but just use it if you want to draw raw frames of YUV 4x2x0 interlaced encoded video. I don't know if it's interlaced. Into FFmpeg, or into Python rather, via FFmpeg, which is one of the fastest and most open sourcey developed kind of like just here, have it. FFmpeg, ladies and gentlemen, I have tied it in to Python via a library that was written by Karl Kronig, import FFmpeg, which is really just as hard to penetrate as just regular FFmpeg shit. But I've tied it in so that you can now acquire the raw frames of an MP4 video file, any kind of video file really, but I recognize the MP4s at WebMs would probably be best here without having to change the configurations. The video stream class accepts these properties and things, and then this is my code, and it's more comments than it is code at this point, as you can see. For the sake of releasing it to you, if you would like to access it today, what you want to do is you want to head your way over to github.com/RonanPlawn, take the L out, /FFmpeg _video stream, and you will be able to acquire FFmpeg video stream, my new little thing that you can download. For high-speed video frame access in Python using FFmpeg and FFshow, note that this script requires Karl Kronig's FFmpeg-Python library, which is here, and pip FFmpeg-Python. You know how to get things into Python, and then you need the FFmpeg thing installed. Definitely in the calling directory. Maybe you can just install it and it'll be accessible by path. I couldn't confirm in Karl's documentation whether or not it worked, and I've just been putting it in the calling directory. Basic usage: import video stream from FFmpeg video stream, and then video is equal to, like, you call that whatever you want. That's your own variable. Video stream, and then my video.mp4 is whatever video. I'm not saying you got to import my video. And then call the OpenStream method, and then while true, end of file frame is equal to video.read. If EOF break, boom, you get all the frames from that video dragged into Python for you at a rate of, let's get out of Zen mode, but let's go to full screen mode, and then we'll just go to my testing platform at a rate of, do it again. Hang on. At a rate of, let's see. In this particular format, I'm scaling the video several times, just as a part of a test here. But at a rate, while you're live streaming, incidentally, which will draw down the frame rate there a little bit, 281 frames per second is how fast you can draw that to the screen. But who needs to draw anything to the screen? We're just trying to get raw frames of video out of FFmpeg. So if we did it again, but this time we did a read test, which is behind, you can't see it, but it's back, it's it's just saying that it's doing it, and now it's rendering it to screen. Now we got to wait for it to render to screen because it's a separate test. But just a raw, grab the frames as fast as you can kind of a processing thing. That'll come out while you're live streaming, note, because there's more CPU is being consumed there, at a rate of 485 frames per second, 7.8 seconds. When I'm not live streaming, that number is 3.9 seconds and 1100 frames per second or something like that. It is 1200 frames per second of 720p video there. We could go up to 1080, but nobody wants to. They want me to start playing fucking with the Kerbal space program. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I release to you my FFmpeg video stream on GitHub today. Go do whatever the fuck you're going to do with it. And what the fuck we're going to do is build the James Webb, finish building the James Webb telescope in Kerbal space program. Why not? What is this for, says Leica 89? I don't know. Something I've been obsessed with for like the past 2-3 weeks, just tinkering and tweaking and refining and figuring out what would be the best way to do it. But yeah, it's for drawing in raw video frames. You give it an MP4 file, just tell it MP4, and it'll draw in the raw YUV 420p encoded pixel format, which is a 12-bit per pixel format. 12 bits. 12, can you believe that they compressed video into 12 bits? It's averaged because it puts it in a Y frame that's big and then a little U frame that's then, and then a V frame that's below. Averaged 1.5 bytes, 12 bits. That's 1.5 bytes, you understand? 12 bits is 12 zeros and or ones. You understand? And that's 1 pixel. And then you multiply, hang on, use a calculator. And then say we had a 1920 by a 1080, that's 2 million pixels. All right, in RGB or BGR format, that's 24 bits, which is 3 pixels. Or no, that's 3 bytes per 1 pixel. So we'd multiply that times 3, 6,220,800 bytes, which times 8 is 49,766,400 bits. Or you could do it in this 12-bit format, which is literally half the size of an RGB BGR format because it's YUV 420, where it's literally half. You divide by 2, it's 24,883,200 bits divided by 8, aka 3,110,400 bytes of data that you got to push through a pipe into Python. It's twice as fast theoretically, and it's like 1.8 times as fast in reality or something like that. FFmpeg video stream. It's on, you github.com/RonanPlawn. It's not Plawn. I said it that time because I said it before. RonanPlawn / whatever. You'll find it if you need it, if you want it, if you gotta have it, baby. But that's not what we're doing today. That's just not it. Any chance of you doing more cluster trucks as like 89? Sure. There's always hope for the future. There's always hope. Likelihood is a different matter. No. But yes, welcome back to, it's a Sunday. Is it a Sunday? It better be a Sunday or else I'm, okay, it's a Sunday. It's January 2nd, 2020 fucking 2. Have you said that out loud yet? January 2nd, 2022. It's a lot of twos. It's like 1, 2, 2, 0, 2, 2. It's another 20 years and we can do 2, 2, 2, 2. And hopefully by then there'll be like trinary processors. And then we'll be able to express it in trinary, right? Is that the thing? What am I doing? Where am I? Why are none of my things here? Where are my... Where's the James Webb... Oh, there it is. The James Webb Space Telescope Mark V. This is where we left off last time, ladies and gentlemen. Boys and girls. The James Webb Space... Oh, shit. I didn't even set this up beforehand. I was almost... Nearly didn't live stream today just because I kind of forgot that it's a thing that we do. James Webb Telescope, and then the images, flickering light bulb above me. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. So the James Webb Space Telescope is apparently up, and it's out there, and it's not doing things yet, but it's on its way to doing things, I presume. I think it arrives in February or something like that. I didn't follow. I'm gonna be honest with you. All right, listen to me, people. Don't judge me. I don't know what's going on with the James Webb Space Telescope. I'm just gonna tell you right now. You know, there was a launch. I didn't know that it launched. My question would be, did it launch to orbit and then do a secondary burn in order to put itself into the place that's behind the moon that's in a good place? I don't know that either. I also don't. There's so many things that I don't know. But what I do know is how it works. It's based, like, it's on a YouTube video at least. I understand how with the YouTube video I saw is some kind of idea. The mirrors should be moving into position soon. When is that? When is soon? 2023?
kind of hate the fact that the JWTS, that, you can't say that. It's easier for you to type, but I might as well just say James Webb Space Telescope, and you put the T before James Webb Telescope Space. That ain't right. The JWTS isn't meant to be serviceable because it's going so far out. Yeah, wouldn't they? And they would just love to not have to build another one, you know, on the surface of Earth for space. Wouldn't it be just the tits? Wouldn't the tits be just out and jiggly, and everybody would love them, no matter gender or sexuality? Like, everybody would be like, those tits, look at them. Wouldn't the tits just be dangling in the wind if they didn't have to, you know, build something like this on Earth and then ship it to space? What if, I'm crazy, hang on, just try and follow me. What if we used technology that we have, for example, my FFmpeg YUV42, it doesn't help. But what if we use technology like I could program in Python in order to launch probes into space, into our planetary system, which would then travel to locations where we know there are asteroids or even planetary bodies such as Mercury, as long as we arrive on the right side of it at the right time and can sustain the temperatures and things like that, and started to collect natural resources from these places, and then the probes were able to actually mine and refine into raw materials, and then ship these materials back to an orbit of Earth, so that then we could collect them in orbit of Earth and put them into, you know, processes, 3D printers and things that created these elements in space where we actually need them. And you say it sounds like a lot. I don't know about that. It would be cheaper and lighter than to build a fucking $11 billion telescope over the course of 10, 12 years, testing it in massive rooms that we have to suck all of the fucking air out of, and then another massive room that we just put a giant subwoofer in to see if this thing will survive the of launching to space. It would actually be cheaper if we just put probes into space, went and fucking collected them from the resources that we know exist within our planetary system, and returned those raw resources to orbit of the Earth so that we could then use that shit and build things in space instead of carting them up. We could also make fuel out there, which is something we can already do in Kerbal Space Program, so why live in reality? This is much easier. Kind of hate the fact... Wait. It's only got a 5-year mission window? What? They'll extend that. They'll send somebody out to behind the moon or wherever the fuck the place this thing is going, you know, when it needs to polish or whatever, spit shine. I think on the 10th they moved them into position. Really? The mirrors? Okay. Wasn't Hubble only supposed to last like a few years, but made its best discovery after the mission expiry date? Yeah, absolutely. Hubble, I mean, it went up and it didn't fucking work right. And then they went up and they attached a new focusing lens or something like that and added to it, and this is like, but that's out there, that's not in orbit, like in a place where we can get to easily. In 5 years from now, like, if we want to go out and fuck with it, they'll go out and fuck with it if it's worth it to. They spent $11 billion putting the thing up there. Don't think that they're just gonna leave it out there. I was watching vids on YouTube at a channel called Anton Petrov. He's great at explaining new science discoveries, mostly focused on astrology. And then one day, end of last year, I just stopped. Wow, like that sentence on just a miserable... Why would you... I mean, it's okay to stop, but why would you just say it like it's a horrible... Jesus, Dendy, what are you doing? Are you going to launch this into space? Probably, maybe. I don't know. We don't worry about that, okay? They didn't worry about that when... they worried about it when they were building it. They took everything in its time, in its moment, and we are still designing... Well, no, we're done designing the mirror. We're still designing the other parts that aren't the mirror, the big mirror. It only has enough fuel till 2030. Well, they're already working on ways to be able to refuel. It's not designed to be refueled. I don't know that they're already working on it, but they've already thought about that premise of how would we refuel it if, you know, we were able to, if it was convenient enough, kind of a thing. We all saw it in that Netflix movie about going to space, right? You just like fucking hard tap a line into, you know, and then I guess you just take your gum out. kind of wrap it around, press it in there, you know, in the vacuum of space. I'm sure your gum will be fine. Isn't there an even bigger telescope in the works? The Roman telescope or something? Oh, fuck the Romans. They didn't. We don't need that. You know, just because they made a good candle once doesn't mean anything. So, so here's where we are with the James Webb Space Telescope so far. Let's deploy it. Boom. Right? That's how much it packs up. It's just those outer ones, as far as I know, anyway. And what the fuck do I know? I have no idea. But so we got that. Every single one of our mirrors, look at them. Look at them now. You see how they're doing that? See how they're like flowering around the center kind of a thing? Every single one of them is adjustable via a 2-hinge yoke. We'll call it like that. And we have currently pre-adjusted them to places that just made me happy. We've got what I've set currently is a maximum 9-degree and negative 9-degree adjustment angle on them. And so they've all been set up so that the toppest one should be like a negative 9 pointing down, bottom 9 pointing up, and then the ones that are out here on the x-axis should be a 9 pointing in. And then when you get into here, it's like a 4 or something like that. And why is everything green? Oh my God. Oh, The Matrix. Oh, fuck Keanu. That movie was horrible. It was the worst thing I've ever seen, maybe. It might be the actual worst thing I've ever seen. And I'd love to talk about it some more, as though we hadn't already done so on a live stream. That's how bad it was, is that you just got to keep talking about it to try and like come to grips with it. But that's our James Webb Space Mirror Telescope right there. We got the mirror, and now we need the everything else. Which includes, just looking at like that one, that image there, we need the boom that extends out what I believe is the focusing mirror, where we catch all of the, hang on, let's look at it. We catch all the photons that are coming from, you know, before the beginning of time this way, and then we bounce them back out at the focusing mirror, which is this bit that's folded up right there. It needs to fold down, and the focusing mirror focuses in a mirror-ish way, and then bounces it back down to the system of 7,000 other mirrors that are in here. I don't know how it works at that point, but it gets down in here, and then there's other things happen, and then eventually there's an image, and it's in the YUV 4x2x0 format, because everything is, and it's because it's a 12-bit pixel format, not a 24-bit pixel format, and that means it's half the bandwidth to try and push it through into the Python. Hey, you get to take your gum out of your helmet. We'll have a gum extraction panel, obviously. You know, you'll like have to spit it. You know, and you got your helmet on, and then you go, and then just like boing, and it bounces off, and it's floating, and you gotta like just kind of move your head in a way to capture it into the decompression chamber that's in your, the gum decompression chamber that's in your helmet, and you get it in there, and then you hit the button, and then on this side, and then you hit the button on the other side, and then your eyeballs suck out because the seal isn't that good. I mean, it's only going to be open for a second. You get the gum out, right, in your glove hand, close it up, your eyes snap back into place, and then you just stretch it out and wrap it around the place where the fuel comes out. Obviously, duh. Jesus, do I have to explain everything to you people? By 2030, SpaceX will have the Moon Gateway Station. Moon Gateways? Fuck SpaceX. SpaceX ain't gonna do shit. He's just goddamn motherfucking you put in the time. Spider-Man. Goddamn motherfucking with Elon Musk. Don't give a shit. Don't give a fuck, man. Man, this is Tesla. Fucking Tesla. Oh, look at the cars, the batteries that we made. Oh, we're pushing forward technologies that already exist in the first place. Hey. By the way, do your Teslas run on like thousands of fucking batteries? Is that it? Is that what you did? You just packaged like like 18650s, 65 millimeter, 18650s, like thousands of them into a big plastic fucking box and then shoved them in there instead of, I don't know, like making your own lithium fucking battery pack that made sense. So there'd be like 6 of them around the car instead of like wiring all these tiny little batteries in a barrel. What, is that your addition to technology there? Is the idea of then like demanding that 8650 technology improve so that you can draw more amperage out of them instead of, I don't know, using any of the other formats that already exist, or that you could make your fucking battery in so that it has more amperage draw because it's not limited to a small little post that's put into a little fucking thing like that. You fucking idiots, and you get credit for that as some kind of like, hey, evolving the fucking technology and eat shit and die. Also, hey Elon, if you really gave a fuck about like electric vehicles and stuff, maybe you shouldn't, you know, do the Apple thing of trying to proprietize your version of a charging station when everybody else is like following a fucking spec that people agreed on and put out there, huh? Maybe instead of like there having to be like a Tesla charging station and then all the others, maybe you should just like, you know, bend over and take one for the fucking team, you cocksucker. There's those, fuck SpaceX, fuck anything that has to do with Elon. Fuck them. They're not gonna do anything. If there isn't profit in it, they ain't gonna fucking do a goddamn thing. Don't expect SpaceX to save the fucking world. Hi. So Pawn, back on the Matrix, anything trans-related at all in the movie? There wasn't anything related in that movie, no. Like, they in the movie make a joke about the movie being about the original movies being trans-related. That's the closest that you get. No, there isn't anything about anything in the movie. The entire movie is about Keanu Reeves' face. Look how Keanu looks these days. And he's handsome for a man at 58 or whatever the fuck he is. Like, he's got some new freckles, you know what I'm saying? Like the old man freckles are starting to come in, but he's fun to look at. I acknowledge that. I don't know if we needed to spend $200 million on a 2.5-hour film because Keanu Reeves' freckles are cute. I don't know if that was a thing we needed to do. I think maybe we could have spent half the amount of money on a film that had a point or a meaning or developed characters at all or evolved a world or had just something bubbling underneath of it. You know, another movie that I saw last year, I can say last year now because it's 2022. Last year I saw Free Guy. Did you guys see Free Guy? It's a fucking killer movie. I had trouble remembering that it's called Free Guy because Free Man, Free Guy, if you're from the Nintendo era, those were kind of interchangeable. It depended, you know, there was a bit of a war going on which side you were on. Was it, you know, I'm in Super Mario right now, I just got a free man, or did you just get a free guy, or did you get a one-up, or did you get an extra life? Free Guy, Free Man. It's Free Guy is the name of the movie. It's a killer fucking movie. You know, number one had fucking blood death stroke man. Bloody death. What's his name? He dates Death herself, you know, the guy with he's got swords and he shoots people and then sometimes cut, and then he'll like just slice himself in half if it's funny. You know who I'm talking about with the in Owen Wilson. It's not Bloodpool he's in the Free Guy movie. That was a great movie. Underneath, at the bottom of Free Guy, there's a bubbling, like, just teeming sort of primordial goo of the philosophy of individuality, of sentience, of existence itself. Who am I? What is this? What is this world that I'm born into? Do I matter? All of these philosophical things going on as just like the I haven't even drank that much. But primordial ooze that out of which this movie grows. There's a philosophy, there are ideas, there are thoughts, there are heavy weights in terms of, like, I'm less concerned with, but I acknowledge that there's, like, the societal factor of what does society do as AI evolves to the point where it seems to actually be sentient, and how do we acknowledge, you know, and at what point is an amoeba a form of life, and at what point is an AI also a form of life and should have rights and should be protected and that sort of a thing. That's all going on, but underneath that, more importantly, is the primordial ooze of philosophical questions about our own identities, whether we matter, what our role is in this universe, why we are here, if there is a reason why we're here at all. All of that is bubbling underneath it, and then on top of it, they make this beautiful, fun, summer action movie. It's funny, and it's lighthearted, and it's actiony, and it's fun, and it's all of the things, and it has a meaning and a point to exist. These are all qualities I describe specifically so that I can then say the new Matrix movie has nothing bubbling underneath it and has no reason to exist, except that Keanu's freckles might be perceived as cute by some people. His old age freckles that are coming in. I'm sure all your concerns will be answered in The Matrix 5. Oh my god. And I know, like, having seen this movie, I know that they are absolutely planning on building a fucking franchise and another, like, trilogy out of it and everything like that. This movie is such a piece of shit. They should not be allowed, if there is a god, not in anywhere, any kind of a god, lowercase g, uppercase g, if you're just, like, one of the more powerful beings in the universe who could kind of do things, you should not allow them to make a movie off of this movie, because this movie did nothing. It accomplished nothing. It had nothing to say. There was no reason for these images to flash before my eyes and these sounds to be there. The fights weren't that good. The CGI wasn't that good. The storytelling was awful. There was no storytelling. There were never any stakes. There were stakes presented, and then those stakes meant nothing, which means that there were no stakes. There were no real stakes, but they were setting up stakes for later movies that might come in the trilogy where maybe the stakes will become relevant at that point, which means that this movie has no reason to exist. Is the thing. Deadpool is a terrible name. No big. What? Deadpool sounds like a skirmish Batman has to get involved in. It does sound like it involves Batman. That's why it's so cool. That's why Deadpool is so... I didn't see the second Deadpool, though. I saw the original Deadpool, and honestly, it drags a little bit, you know? Like, I love it. I love it. I love Ryan Reynolds. I remember his name! He's not whoever I said before, Geordie LaForge or whatever. He's Ryan Reynolds. I remember, and I love him. He does great shit. He's a funny man. He's a handsome man. I would more prefer to look at Ryan Reynolds' freckles than Keanu's. I'm gonna take a position, hot take. Ryan Reynolds, I'd fuck before Keanu. I'm just gonna say, or you know, be fucked by. Just, you know, whatever. I don't know whether he was a top or a bottom. That's something that you discuss once. I mean, you want to kind of discuss it beforehand, because if you're in the bedroom and you're finding out you're both tops, but you know, that's a different matter. It doesn't need to be discussed directly on twitch.tv/RonanPawn right now. Or we could, because I do whatever the fuck I want around here, god damn it. Dick out. Big dick out. Big. I mean, moderately, like, average, like, reasonably sized, you know, not embarrassing dick out is Ryan Reynolds. He's good. What was I saying? Something about the Matrix. It was horrible. I've given you time now to see it. I talked about it last time. If you're still here and you're listening, I'm going to spoil. Spoil? Are you going to spoil? I'm going to spoil the movie just by saying it sucks. I mean, I already said that it sucks. But I'm going to... There's a city. There's a new city, all right? New city. They're world building, right? It's called Io. And Lady Pawn was watching some other jackasses review the video for like 2.5 fucking hours, live stream format, but it's been edited. It's a really long video. And what pissed me off about it is that they're not angry enough. They're not angry about this. They need to be angry. I can't watch somebody not be angry about this piece of shit. And they couldn't remember the name of the city. And it's IO as an input output. Come on, guys. It's 2022 now, motherfucker. Io is the new city that they show us. Let me tell you about this city, all right? I'm going to tell you. I'm going to spoil everything for you. I'm going to tell you about this city. there's nothing memorable about this city. I remember that they've got sky kind of a thing that they did there. Our entire exposure to the city of Io occurs across like 5 or 6 fucking sets. 5 or 6 sets, and those sets, 4 of them, exist in basically a tower where the governor of Io lives. That's it. That's our exposure to the city. We never get a sense that the city is alive, that people live here, that things are going on. It's this dead, hollow, non-thing that's like, we're world building. From how afar? Why don't you just read me the script? Don't even show it if this is going to be the level of effort that you put into it, you know? And it makes me appreciate the other movies in the Matrix trilogy, you know, besides the first one, which the first one, and then the second and the third, it was like, oh my god. And now I look back and go, oh, they were fucking amazing films, apparently, because this piece of shit, you know, the second and the third film, they invoke that there's these cities that exist outside the Matrix, and then they show you people that live in them, and little children who are running around trying to play in them, and wars that are breaking out, and people who are running through. There's a population for these cities. It makes the city be alive. It makes it worth something. It makes the city its own character. It makes the city matter. That if something happens here, people are affected. They don't bother doing that in this film. We see the city from a bunch of like 3D rendered 7 miles away overhead behind, and then everything else is interiors of the room that we happen to be in, which is in a tower that doesn't represent how people actually live in this city or whether they are living in this city. I don't think we ever see people living in the city. I think when we're in the city, we see maybe like a dozen people, 8 of which are, you know, pilots of ships for the Matrix peoples, for humans in the city of Io. One of them's the governor, and then one of them's fucking Neo, and that's it. That's the population of this fucking city. Oh, and there's a couple of like CGI animated people that are made of balls. They're literally made of balls. I'm not saying, it's not a criticism. They are made of balls. Tiny balls too. No joy juice in them. Ryan Reynolds is really hot. I'd let him pound me into the bed sheets. As a lesbian, I'm saying, this is what I'm saying, man. That's what yeah. Exactly that, you know? Just whatever he needs to do. And not, I mean, if it wasn't between Ryan Reynolds and Neo, then maybe Keanu, I don't know. Like, we'd have to flesh it. He buys me a couple of drinks and probably yes. But like, the thing is, so the city of Io is a complete fucking wash for the film because it doesn't matter. And the whole reason why we're at Io for basically the entire second act of this 2.5-hour movie, so 1/3 of the fucking movie is centered around Io and the things that relate to Io, and this is Io and the threat of Io, and the whole point of it is that just Neo being awake again, and he's out there, and he's not in the Matrix anymore, and he's back, that kind of a thing, is a threat in and of itself to Io, right? Because Io is a city that the humans have, and they've managed to build it to the point where they can, like, survive and maybe even enjoy some of their lives, which in the previous 2 movies, we just saw people having sex raves because there was absolutely nothing. They were going to die 30 seconds from now, as far as everybody knew. So in a cave, we'll just fucking, you know, throw back monsters and have unprotected sex all night. That was the premise of humanity in the second and the third movies. In this one, Io has been around long enough that it's managed to find some stability, get some technology. They're starting to be able to grow, like, food on the version of Earth that doesn't have an atmosphere anymore because they burned it off or whatever. It's just so toxically polluted that you couldn't. So, like, they're starting to get some stability, and so they're setting up the idea of the city of Io is, you know, it's people having hope and finding. It's not so much hope. It's comfort. The city of Io is comfort. That people have escaped from the Matrix and they're living in Io, and Io has become a place of comfort, and so maybe their priorities aren't so much to free everybody else from the Matrix anymore, but to, I don't know, live a fulfilling life instead of being at constant war all of the time with the robots, who are definitely more powerful than they are. Which is very reasonable, which in part undermines this whole like concept that Io presents in the entire fucking second act of the movie. But importantly, the whole thing for the second act of the movie is that Io is just Neo being here, just that things are happening again is a threat to Io because it's got some stability and it started to create something, and he's here. And then in the last scene of the second act, and I you could fucking just cut the film at that exact point and no, this is the end of the second act. There's the shot where we finally leave Io and we leave the governor and her girlfriend behind or whatever the fuck's going on. And it's like they say, and what they say is that I'm very afraid for the future of Io or something along those lines. And then we leave, and then the entire third act occurs, and then credits roll, and Io didn't matter at all. Nothing happens to Io. The threats, the worries, the concerns that we took an entire act of this film to set up do not come back. They don't come back. That fucking, you know, the all is lost moment. The worry that all might be lost. No. Why were you even worried? No, this movie's gonna end. No, don't. It just doesn't happen. Now I need to see these movies. See, by spoiling them, I'm making them more interesting than they are. I'm doing bad work here. Make sure if you do see this movie, you do not pay them for it. Make sure that you pirate it in some way. There are many ways these days. But yeah, so they just they spend an entire second act setting something up that doesn't matter at all in this movie. The first act is 80% them ripping off scenes from the original Matrix. Well, they actually show you scenes from the original Matrix trilogy behind the things as they're ripping them off and as they're pointing at them and making fun of them as though they're stupid. But they're you know, the point is that they're being self-referential, they're self-aware, you know, this is the writers writing their own perspectives of the stress and the difficulty and having to deal with these big corporate outfits who are giving you the money in order to write a Matrix film when Matrix films were like a big thing, and the original Matrix is like a jumping off point for a whole lot of fucking cinema and a classic that exists within some of our lifetimes. And now we have to write a new thing. And so what they did was they decided to put their own like anxieties, fears, concerns, and professional difficulties on the page of the script and then perform that script for like the first 40 minutes of the film, where instead of getting a story in the year 2021, which is when this released, where, you know, it's not as though there's like some heavy shit that we have to deal with in the real world, and maybe it would be nice to just escape to something else and project ourselves into something else. No, what I want to do is walk into a film and watch somebody else project about their stresses and difficulties in life in the film that I'm watching while I'm watching it, and the film is a sequel to a film that made fucking history and has a fucking thing going on. And by the way, in the original Matrix movies, you know, there's like, if you're gonna steal like the whole aesthetic of the Matrix and then just like cash in on it, you know, it's just a cash grab kind of a thing. If you're gonna do that, can I recommend that you use the aesthetic that you are cashing in on? Could I recommend that the green filter of a dirty city be what you cash in on, as opposed to throwing all of that away as well? It's a cash grab, and you threw out everything that was Matrix, except for the scenes from the previous movies that you put into your fucking movie, and Keanu. And the two actors, I mean, there's more than that from the previous, but Keanu, and they threw away the entire aesthetic of the city in the previous Matrix or what it was, and they're trying to create a whole new thing. And now the Matrix, apparently, the next 3 fucking Matrix movies are gonna be set in fucking MTV universe, the Viacom fucking, because the saturation of this fucking Matrix, of the new Matrix that Keanu is in and then has to break out to at the beginning of the movie, the saturation is fucking, it is that. It's that Viacoming of MTV. It's the moment where MTV went from being art It went from being music videos and having like the people who make these music sit there and like read you fucking poetry as advertisements. Between showing music videos and talking about music news, we'll have fucking Bruce Springsteen sit there and play a lick and read a poem that he wrote. That used to be MTV, and then at a certain point, Viacom came in with their money, and they turned MTV into, you know, Summer fucking Beach Escape 2! Who's gonna something, who's gonna fuck this girl? And everything turned into reality TV, and the whole channel was cranked up on the saturation dial so that every green was fucking lime, and every blue was fucking teal, and every red was fucking pink, and it was just, That's what the Matrix looks like now. That's what the Matrix looks like now, because the people who made this movie made the Matrix look like that now. They copied every good scene from the original ones and just played it out in this half-assed, shitty way. You know, it's like, you know how the Star Wars movies, like when Star Wars 7 or whatever came out, when after the prequels, and then they started doing something else, how people were complaining about how, you know, they're rehashing the old formula or something like that. This movie doesn't rehash the old formula. It fucking just puts the old footage on screen as in front of the old footage. They do the same thing that they did in the last one. It's not an homage, it's not a nod, it's not a tip of a hat. It's a big, stinky, fucking dirty, ugly dick that you want nothing to do with slapping down onto this property that you might care about. I didn't. I don't really, you know, I remember Matrix very fondly. I don't give a fuck what they do with the Matrix. This is just this is like the worst fucking movie I've ever seen, because they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. They played another movie that they'd already made in the background, and then they had characters that they didn't develop, who didn't develop interpersonal relationships that I or any human being could actually care about, over the top of a set that nobody has any affinity for previously, even though this is a sequel, because they just threw all that shit out, and then didn't give us any reason to develop a new affinity to it, because they didn't even fucking show us like the new city, and because the new Matrix is so fucking looks like a Clorox bleach commercial that I just want to be out of it as quickly as possible. There is nothing in this film beyond Keanu Reeves' face, a lot, that is worth watching. They don't do anything. By the end of it, nothing has happened that you couldn't have taken a red pencil to on the script and say, we don't need that, we don't need that, we don't need that. There is nothing that is necessary in this film to exist except for Keanu Reeves' face, and they really should have just put out like 2.5 hours of Keanu Reeves smiling at a camera, if that's what they were going to do. None of it mattered. They had two characters at the very beginning who are like the new characters. It's like the new captain of the ship who's, you know, she's not Trinity. That's basically her role. You don't need to know her name. It's not Trinity. Not Dash Trinity is her name in this movie. She's the not Trinity. And then she's got like her controller, you know how in the Matrix they got a person who's on the ship and they're controlling, except for in this version of the Matrix, technology has evolved. They've gotten, so now they can like holographically project an image of the controller into the world while they're relating to somebody else, kind of a thing. Those two characters could have been at the center of this film and could have made a film that was worth watching. No Keanu, no Trinity, none of this rehashing of shit that we've already done. Take those two characters and do something with them. They did not. They did not. There is no relationship that emerges between any two characters that matters. They get onto this new ship that's, you know, it's exactly the same. It is the Nebuchadnezzar, and maybe that's the point, is that it's just the Nebuchadnezzar being like and it got a new plaque onto it, and then they changed that plaque because it was actually another ship, and they repurposed it, kind of a thing. But it has no character. There's nothing new. There is nothing new here. And simultaneously, it seems like they, as the writers, are trying to avoid the criticism of there's nothing new here by being so self-aware of the fact that we didn't put anything new here and we're making fun of it. It's like, Pootie Pie, that doesn't matter, you're still being racist. I mean, fucking Matrix, you're not making a movie, Matrix. You're not, that's the problem. You can't just be self-aware and say it's okay. Also, just because you say you're self-aware doesn't mean that you are self-aware, because if you were self-aware, you wouldn't have made this fucking movie this way. Do we need a live stream break yet? Can I have one? I'd like to have a live stream break. D-Lady, hello. She's waiting for me to blow up at this point. It's awful. There's nothing in it. There's no reason. I mean, the thing is, like, you can sit down and watch it. It's not like a movie where it didn't piss me off to watch it. It didn't anger me. It didn't, like, there wasn't an emotional thing. It was just like, there was no reason. At the end of it, there was just no reason. The opening, okay, it did anger me. It pissed me off a lot. The opening was just, like, kind of shitting on everything that was cool before it, and that was, like, supposed to be, that's what we're doing, man. We're just, we're cooler than the original. Like, we acknowledge the problems of the movie. And then because this critically acclaimed landmark film, The Matrix, the first one, had a couple of criticisms about it, in that, you know, they were killing a lot of people, and they were killing a lot of people in The Matrix. They were killing people, you know, their whole world universe view, like, fucking Morpheus says it out loud. Somebody says it out loud. I think it's Morpheus, that, like, these people are at any time a tool of the system that is imprisoning you, and you have to be willing to just fucking put them down. And if they're not, you know, even if they're not invaded by an agent's AI presence and turned into that, they are still standing between us and something that is so important for the human race that we need to just fucking put them down. And there were criticisms about that, and, you know, fair enough that there were criticisms about that. In this movie, as a retort, now that we've had all of these years, as a response, no one dies. As far as I recall from seeing this movie once for the first and last time, no one dies. There are no human characters who die. There are no people who have been freed from the Matrix who die. There are no stakes. None of the people within the Matrix die. They replace everybody with bots, is what they're called in the movie, and say that a large population, part of the population, is now bots because they're used to manipulate human beings into you know, which causes them to generate more electricity. And that's the thing, is like, I'm not even going to get into the flaws of the science fiction universe that they are presenting, because I can't be bothered to. Like it's far more interesting to not pick apart their details in terms of, so apparently if you stress somebody out, they create more joules of electricity in a way that matters to be able to, like, fuel an AI society. I'm not even getting into that shit, because from a structural making a movie level, it is such a failure of making a movie. Then why would I get deep into how you fucked up this thing or that thing in the lore, and, you know, why would I bother? Why would I? You've made a bad movie. I'm not going to give you implicit, like, it would imply that I'm giving you credit for having made something that's watchable, if I then started criticizing your minor plot points or details or where this flaw isn't, or that sort of a thing. No. You've made a bad movie is where I'm living. That's where my flag is being planted here. I'm confused. What's happening, says Miyokan Aerospace? What are we ranting about? The Matrix fucking refuckalation, whatever the hell it's called. Just rewatched 1 and 2, pure gold, says Giga 8i. I want to know what Earth looks like for more. Well, you're never gonna. They're not gonna, nope. Best you get is at the end of the third one, and you're gonna see down from the clouds or some shit. And the explanation, that's the thing, it's like, I'm tempted to get into, like, and then they had to rebuild Neo and had to rebuild Trinity, because we saw him at the end of the three, that's the whole resurrections thing, and they had to, I'm not even getting into that shit. You made a bad movie. There's no characters. There's no development. I'm not interested in the ship. I'm not interested in this new city. I'm not interested in any of these new characters. They have 3 robots on their new ship. 3 robots. Count with me, friends. 1, 2, 3. 3 robots that are important because they're setting up like there's a new thing between humans and robots, where some of the robots, and I keep saying robots, but you know what I mean. Some of the AI, are actually sick of the wars, and they're kind of on the human side, and maybe they're going to help the humans out. They have 3 robots on the ship. 2 of them have a purpose. The third's robot, okay? He's a little tiny thing. Little tiny little, hey. And you figure they show you in this movie, hey, look, there's a little third robot on there. And they give him a name and introduce him as though, and this is so-and-so. And then he's like, he's this big. And so you're like, ah, ha, ha, ha. That's going to be important later. He's going to do something. He's going to, Here's his importance. There is a scene after we are introduced to this tiny robot in which he, with his tiny fist bumps someone else. And that's it. That kind of sums up the whole new fucking movie, is that they introduce characters who have no meaning, who have no purpose, who they're not going to do anything with. Like, somebody in the fucking studio said, hey, man, we got Baby Yodas out there. We got that fucking tree thing from the Marvel Universe when they, like, killed the one and then the other one popped up. Like, we got to have, like, a tiny little thing. Maybe we got to, we need at least 3 robots to produce in the robot pack when we sell the toys, right? So, whip me something up. And then the writers, okay, because you could just blame the corporation for you just blame the people in the studio, and that's fair enough. Fuck them, they deserve blame. But writers take shitty studio notes and turn them into something if they're good writers. These writers, they take that third robot, little tiny robot, something, and that's the only scene that they fist bumps him. There is no reason for that character to exist. There is no real reason for these other 2 characters to exist except to be as a platform on which to introduce the idea that there are some robots who are cool with humans now, which they introduce much more interestingly at different times in the movie, and it's just confusing when you're watching It's a horrible film. It's a horrible film because no one cared about character work, no one cared about the relationships that people formed together. I think back on the first Matrix, and you are with Neo, and you're experiencing this, it's that beautiful setup of that kind of a movie where you, as someone who does not know what's going on and has no point of reference in the universe that the movie is building, are saddled to a main character who does not know what's going on and has no idea what their role is in the universe, and then you explore it and discover it together, and it's easier to just onboard like their experience is your experience is their experience. That's like how you tell movies. This one, okay, like I think back to the first one, and I think of when we board the Nebuchadnezzar for the first time, when we walk onto the ship, we see all of these people, and we're waking up with Neo out of this fugue state, on this table. And we're seeing all of these people, and we can see that they're all very, unique individuals who have their own realities, and they have their own postures. You can see the weight of the world that's been upon them, and you can see in the way that they dress, and in what they care about and what they don't care about, based on how they look and how they move and everything. You can tell that there's personality and there's character there, and you can start to immediately perceive the relationships that different people have with each other on the ship. The moment that you start to see these people, you start to imagine what it's like to live on this ship, and then you see them interact with each other, and you get a better idea of who's with who and what's with what, and you get these 2 who, the people who not like this, those 2 who are in a romantic relationship with each other. You got the kid, the squirrely kid who dies, and he's the first one to die to prove that the stakes are real. No one dies in this new movie. No one ever proves the stakes are real because the stakes are never real in this movie. That kid, he's got a personality, he's got lines, he delivers them in a certain way. He's did you like the lady in red kind of a thing? But then he's whipping out the guns, and he's the tech person, and he's ready, and there's a reason why this kid is on board this ship, and he's got skills, and he's got something, and then he dies, and it means something, and it matters, because I didn't get to know that kid much, but I could see just by looking at him that he was real. And he had relationships with all these people, and all these people had relationships with him, and it matters that he dies, and I feel that. None of that happens with any character in this movie. None of them ever die, but that's because none of them ever matter. If they would have killed one of them off, they would have had to make the effort to make one of them actually fucking matter. Because otherwise you would have noticed even more startlingly when they died that you didn't care. You know, so long as we don't kill them off, no one dies, there are no stakes, then maybe the audience won't notice that they have no reason to give a fuck about any of these people in this story that we wrote for their entertainment and spent $200 million filming for their entertainment, and there's no reason for them to care about anyone. Because we didn't write it in here. And that's what I think about the new Matrix movie, ladies and gentlemen. We did nothing to the James Webb Telescope. We're going to take a live stream break so that I can put something on my throat. Because I've been screaming for fun, dramatic effect. I've put more, in 1 hour and 2 minutes, I have acted more. I have put more character and personality and charisma and energy on screen than in 2.5 hours of $200 million worth of Warner Brothers money they bothered to put on screen in the new Matrix film. I open minds. I leave it to you to contradict me if it is possible. And I also invite you to meet me back here in 7 minutes after this live stream break. Grab a beer, have a pee, and meet me here. Pawn not out. Hello, I am the Ronan Pawn, and welcome back to a twitch.tv/Ronan Pawn live stream on twitch.tv/Ronan Pawn. We're complaining about the Matrix movie. Not so much Kerbaling yet. We'll get to, we're gonna do it. But hang with me. Hang with me now as I, like an irresponsible streamer, copy off files from the recording directory, because you may have heard while we were going there. I gotta double check here how much space I got left. Oh shit. I don't have anywhere to copy data off. Well, we don't need some of these recordings of Kerbal, do we? They're not all important. Yeah, in fact, I'm just gonna randomly delete 4 Kerbal recordings from live streams. Bye, you're gone, and then we can start the recording for this one, so that one day I can delete this one randomly without thinking about whether or not I wanted something that was in there. Welcome back to the welcome back to the live stream. Welcome back to finishing the James Webb telescope build that we started on the last creative build. It's over here. There she blows. There she blows, and she do deploy and everything. So she's folded up right now. We click on one of these things, and I target angle it and pull her out, and boom, she's there. All my panels have yokes on them so we can individually align the panels just like the telescope can. That was part of my desire for making this thing. Well, we were talking about the Matrix movie, and I just want to say, like, one last thing about it. Let's go over to this editor. I just feel more comfortable when I can translate the camera as well. Yeah. One last thing about that Matrix movie, and I'm only going to say this because it is so obvious from the film that they made. Film? That's a lot of credit. It is so obvious that they are trying to avoid these criticisms that came down of, like, you know, killing people in the universe, and killing authority figures and things. And is this contributing to the rise in, you know, violence that we see on our streets, and kids that are taking Uzis into school because their girlfriend dumped them last week, and which is always like what is kind of insinuated by the story, but it's not. It's racism. it's people who they're there to kill. But it's most of the time. But yeah, it's so they're like trying in this movie to pull back so hard from like any of those criticisms that the original film and film trilogy had about their impact on society. And so I'll say this, while they're pulling back and they go out of their way to make no one in this movie die, no human being, no character that might be like just not even on the good side, just like not on the bad side. There's no one fucking dies in this film as far as I recall anyway, which tells you something. If somebody did die in this film and I don't remember them, that's also a criticism of the film and not a problem with my memory. So like while they're pulling back from that, I just want to note that you decided to build the entire story of this film around the premise of our main character having a psychological issue that they are taking medication for and seeing a therapist for, and that then the solution to their dissatisfaction with life is to stop taking the blue pill medication that they're taking, stop listening to their therapist, take the red pill, and indulge in what has been described to that individual in the movie in the first act as their violent delusion. So you're pulling back from the things where you might do harm to society by implying that this is okay, by telling a story in, 2021, talking about it in 2022, happy fucking New Year. Where it's just a time where I don't think a lot of us have mental health issues at all. 2021, why would any of us have some kind of, maybe just be seeing therapists or trying to like cope or deal or have massive depression issues, try and walk age of COVID after Trump election? You tell a story about someone who, in order to perceive reality, needs to go off their meds, stop listening to the professional health advisors who are helping them try and deal with their shit. Thank you so much for pulling back from the damage that you might do in society with this story where nobody ever dies, that revolves around somebody abandoning mental health treatment in order to, completely be enveloped by their delusion. Yeah, I'm sure that's not gonna. I'm sure that to the people who take medication and are dealing with these issues, which is most people at this time, I'm sure that didn't hit them in a certain resonant way. Good work, writers in California. I really see how you guys get paid what you do. You're doing God's work. Miko on Aerospace is 1, Matrix is shit, 2, Matrix is shit, 3, Matrix is shit. I like that you spell it with a C. It's an extra little insult to it. But yeah, that's all I'll say about the Matrix new movie. It is barely a movie. It does not work. It does nothing. And anyone who gives it any amount of credit for something needs to just reevaluate where they are as a human being and how low their standards have fallen, and ask whether or not they should be like watching better movies or just taking on better content in general. Because if you can look at that and see the good points in it, your standards have dropped too low, my friend. Far too low. That's the worst thing I've ever seen. There was no actual story. At least it makes the first 3 better movies. It does that. It does that, Acute Sharky. It makes the 2 that followed the first one that had so much, like, fucking philosophy, and, you know, it was something that drove... I ended up in a fucking Zen center, and I can't entirely say that it's not contributed to by the kinds of issues and things that the original Matrix movie, you know, brought up in the philosophy surrounding the sci-fi adventure that they were telling. Just a meaningful, huge impact, and then the second and third movies were so up their own asses, and trying to like milk something that they'd already kind of gotten the best out of, you know? It's like, you've already got the 80% out of that concept, maybe move on to it. No, you're just going to keep squeezing the same one. The 10% and 10% that they tried to squeeze out of the you know, next 2 movies after the first Matrix, they now look like fucking stellar cinema in comparison to this one. I really do like have a greater appreciation, if not only for the fact that in the second and third movies, someone was trying to do something. They were swinging the bat. They might have been whiffing big on what they were doing, but they were swinging the bat, and they weren't whiffing big on everything. In comparison to like the fight scenes and the tight camera angles that make sure that you don't see that people aren't very good at fighting when they're almost 60 years old, and then the tight camera angles even on like their special effects and stuff. And then you think back to some of the like the bad Matrix movies and that highway scene and the riding on the bike and the things that are the cars that are blowing up and flying and people jumping from rooftop to rooftop, and the difference of like the weight of those characters and the things that were happening on screen and how wide those shots were and how many of those shots were actually filmed on a highway, fake highway in Europe, but like on a stretch of road and actually done in real life. There's so much weight to those scenes and weight to that action and weight to that cinema that does not exist at all in these films, or in this latest film. You know, there is no comparison. I pit the CGI Neo fighting 25 CGI Agent Smiths as a bad moment in cinema against this entire film any day, and I will give you 20-1 odds if you want to bet on this film, as opposed to that shitty, awful, weightless CGI scene. That was so much better. So much better intellectually, and just, you know, seeing it like intellectually, they were trying to do shit that CGI hadn't been really used for in live action cinema. At that, they were still swinging hard at the fences, and they were going to whiff a couple of times. This one doesn't swing at all. It just doesn't swing the bat. It just watches. I didn't think that you could have 72 strikeouts while one player was standing at the bat, but they proved it. The plot of the next 2 movies is that this new movie was Neo's fever dream. That would, yeah, that's where they'd have to go. I kind of thought after the first act of this movie that the only place that they could possibly be going with this is that Neo is in a Matrix, which is in a Matrix, which is in a Matrix kind of a thing. Because they had made it so awful and so disgusting and so horrible, and they weren't even invoking the original aesthetic of the original films, that I presumed that they would have to throw all of that away and make it like a psych, we got you. This was actually like layer 4 in a 4-layered burrito of matrices, that he's in this deep one, but then he's going to emerge to another one that he thinks is the real world outside that matrix, but then he'll emerge to another one that's actually outside that matrix that is the real matrix, and then he'll have to emerge from that one to... I thought that's what they were going to do, which would have been a cop-out, fucking cheap, shitty, like, where are you going with that? What is the point? There's no philosophy behind that. You're just stroking your own dick. I thought it was going to be that, and in retrospect, that would have been better. I mean, that sounds like a better movie, says a cute sharky choice, right? It would have been better. It wouldn't have been able to stand against the meaning and depth of the original Matrix or even the trilogy, but it would have been something. This wasn't even something. James Webb Telescope. That's what we're here for, right? That's why we're doing the thing. I've got the reference photos pulled up. Yeah. Yeah, and that's not really it, is it? Is it? Wait a second. So, in the final design of the James Webb, I'm seeing, we see the two pieces of our extendable boom for the mirror there on the front of it. But then we look at the conceptual photos, which may have been drawn before they were done with them. I mean, it's just Google Images here. What the fuck do we know? And I see a third boom arm here. And then I look at you, and is what we're doing here the two boom arms on the front and then a third boom arm that comes around from the back to stabilize it from the tip? Because I was assuming that they just did a two boom arm setup here, using the structure itself to stabilize it as it's lifting, and then once it's in space, it's like, hey, two boom arms, that'll be enough. They're actually triangulating the stability for the reflection or the focusing mirror. That is going to be tricky if that is correct. But then we look at this, and we just see two boom arms. And that's kind of what I assumed that they would be doing, but that could be during construction. Are there three boom arms on the finished telescope? And if there are, then that means that this boom arm breaks in the middle, it's hinged in the middle, and packs up behind as the two fold up. It has to go up and over and then fold. It goes up. If you got it like this, and it has to go up and over as it's folding, then this folds in as it's folding it up to the point where it's like that, and then actually pushes it around and over, and it's a 180-degree swivel to get it back down so that it folds over the top. There are three. The third will hinge. Also, what is this mirror sitting on? My dick. I think you set me up for that one. I don't know. What? Shit. That's more robotically complex than I had anticipated. Okay, wait, we've got an animation. It doesn't matter. It's just a rotational kind of a fucking thing. God damn it. I mean, it means that I have to imply from what I'm seeing here. I mean, look at that shot. I don't see any fucking third boom arm coming down from the other side of that where it is. It's the side that will always be facing the sun, so the telescope will always be super cold. Yes. Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. I saw that you said, what is this mirror sitting on? Yeah, that's, I believe it's 5 layers of a film substrate that is 90... it's not 90... Is it 97% reflective? Or is it 99.7? I just watched a thing where they built a concentrator for solar panels, and that was definitely 97% reflective. This is probably 99.7%. But anyway, each layer, and it traps the heat between it, but because of the formation of them when they're deployed, it actually allows any photons of heat that are moving to bounce out from between them and go out, as opposed to getting trapped and getting absorbed into surface heat or what would you call that? Thermal mass, I suppose. Hello, Ron. How are you? Wow, that looks great. Yeah, I'm really close now, aren't I? Nearly. Look at that. I've actually got it animated and everything. 5 layers are Kapton. Yeah, it's just fucking tape. Captain Tape. You can look up the full deployment, says Giga8i. James Webb deployment animation. Like, my problem is that I feel like a lot of the images that are in Google Images are from, like, well, people were still guessing what it would be, and based on early designs and stuff like that, so I'm just gonna hope that these are... something's got a gift to it. Okay. And then those come out, sure. And then I can see the third rail behind that one. Yeah. That's why it's so thick. That's why it's so thick, is because they've got to then get that to pull over the top, and it hinges from just behind, so it's like a... so it's out like that, and then it's folded back like this, and then as it pulls it out forward, it does that. Okay, I can envision it now. I didn't know how we were going to do the boom arm in the first place. I just hadn't even considered that it might be more complicated than I thought. Like, what are we going to make the boom arm out of, you know? Here's our mirror that we made the first live stream, and then we're an hour and a half in and we're actually considering how this might go together for the first fucking time. Looking at where that comes off of, it comes off the corners of these two. So let me just fold this back up again, so that it's not in our way in considering things. So from the corners of those come out our boom arms that go up and over, and then they fold out from there. Oh, I hate clickbait pics of James Webb Space Telescope that have it shooting Death Star type lasers out of the middle. So we know where it's going to mount. And it's going to mount from down here. What are we going to use for, like, the actual boom arms? Because Kerbal is very shy of things that are thin and long that aren't, like, pipes and struts, and those won't work here. Like, much as this sounds ridiculous, I think it might have to be the magnetometer booms. Like, say I put a magnetometer boom on here and extended it. It doesn't even get the kind of extension that we'd need. 2 magnetometer booms extended in such a way, you know, basically I forced the game to pretend like these are solid, rigid objects, by, like, I can make a copy of this one and then say, you're also attached to there, but, you know, what if you were attached to there? That kind of a thing. And, you know, I didn't do it right there, but that would get us something that extends out anyway. Any other option for that, because I would prefer to have it be something that is physical and structural and real. Just use robotic pistons. Robotic pistons. Yeah, let's see how far those extend. So the bigger they are, the longer they'll go. Hey. And then... Is that the longest? That's the most mass. I mean, we could have that followed by that. Ah, fuck. 2 of them. Like you. Flip it around. And then that gets us a reasonable extension for the kind of, like, height that we're seeing. The main test of that actually would be... Let me... You know, with snapping, just you around to like that maybe, and then up. That almost gets there, and then we could extend it a little bit more. Put a few on top of each other. Those are weighty fucking pistons. That's a 1/6 of a ton per piston. Let me just take those off the craft and say, what does the craft weigh? All right, 15.8 tons. All right, never mind. Those are lightweight, cheap, nothing pistons. It's reasonable. I might be able to deal. And then my question would be, is there a... Yes, there is. My snapping works because of the way that I built it. Remember the 3-4 hours it took me to get to this place? It was worth something. Because I built it intelligently. If you decrease the torque, they get lighter. Really? Gamer's Circle? Is that... I could believe that. If you're just fucking with me, I could believe that, Gamer Circle. I could also believe that in Kerbal Space Program, decreasing torque makes them lighter. You're not actually going to try and launch this, are you, says a cute Sharky? I don't see why not. It would fit very easily underneath one of our biggest... I think this would be the easier of the things to launch. I mean, I'm looking at the fucking... Don't be like, oh, are you going to launch this? When I'm looking at people wanting me, potentially, and I don't want to, but people wanting me to be able to launch the fucking Satellite Love Mark 13, which is the other thing we were working on before I decided to break off for a second and do something that wasn't soul-crushing. This thing, you know... And I've designed this to be launched. Each of the 2 balls comes off in a piece, so you can push the 2 balls up alone, and then the corridor is actually split into 2 pieces each, so there's 4 corridors, and then the middle corridor is just 1, but it's really long. I've designed that to be launched. I could push this whole fucking James Webb telescope up, no problem. I got a 40-ton satellite that I pushed to orbit. No, what? A 40-ton space shuttle that I pushed to orbit in an it's off-center, the build. Like the space shuttle is. I could push this fucking nothing to orbit, this little goddamn James Webb space. It's no problem. But yeah. So they fold up like that. So I need this to extend to the point where we can get it past the panels. You know, on the actual telescope, you've got this, like, black shit behind it, where it's all assembling from, and we couldn't really do... Like, this is impressive that I managed to do this hexagonal structure behind it, off of which each thing can have its own rotational yoke that gives it all of the dimensions of rotation within 9 degrees. But we need a little bit to extend it off there, so that I can then put the hinges on that will allow us to then put the pistons on that will then allow us to... Will it all be stock parts, says Giga8i? Yes, this is all stock, and I'm sticking with stock. These are just triangles, structural panels with the yellow. With the gold coating, film coating. So something to stand off, and I'm tempted to build another hexagon out there, but that's breaking from what needs to happen. Let's keep it simple, stupid, at least in the first design. If I octagonal strut, how far off can I get with an octagonal strut? Well, if it weren't floating in space, how far off could I get with an octagonal strut? Not far enough. What about the grip pad? I'm using grip pads all over the place for the structure here. I need you to attach to like that, and then be like that, and then how far off can you stand? It's an almost kind of a thing. Bigger grip pad. Is there an even bigger grip pad? I could do a full structural panel behind, like, these corner bits. Let's say I put it like that, and then attached you to there, and then rotated you down. Is that all the corners, or just these two? Just these two. Okay, good. That is something to build off of. It's a lot of extra weight. We're talking about 0.3 tons. Make sure it don't stand so close to me. I could do a wing. If my concern were lightness of part count. I don't hate this, though. And there's a black version of it. Yeah. I'm gonna try building off of there. It's attached in a way. The way is the way that it's attached. I would have it resting against the hexagon for the appearance of structural strength that it definitely doesn't have. And then... See, in order for this to actually hinge the way that it needs to, because it needs to go from here up and lay against this panel, basically. And I can flatten all these panels back out. That's another thing that needs to be done here, is to make the animation where we flatten them all and then bring them all back out. So maybe that needs to be done first, but it needs to, the hinge needs to be at the breaking point, you know, so that it can be upright and even a little bit further back is the idea there, and then it folds out to flat. Or if it's back there and it's like that, then it folds up to, yeah, there'd have to be an angle on it. Uh-huh. It could just be straight up and down for this one. Kind of looks like that from the image. But that's where the hinging needs to happen, is past the plane of the actual mirrors. I think before we... I'll just get rid of you for now. Before we get into that, we've stumbled upon a step that needs to be done, which is the animation of all the mirrors, that we can turn them from flat to concave. Yes, concave, the way that I've done it here. So back out to the full target angle for you, and get ready for an incredibly boring... Give me another movie to hate. Quick, quick! An incredibly boring robotics animation programming special! Okay, but here's a problem, Pawn. What? Wherever you put this, it needs to be there forever. Because once you start fucking with, like, Kerbal Space Program doesn't work well with this animation thing. And wherever I put it, it needs to stay there. Because if I touch it again, it might just lose every animation frame that I've ever made on it. We have been down that road before. And I don't need to revisit. So... that's where you're going to be for fucking ever regardless. It's going to break once you click off it. That's entirely possible too. Yeah. Yeah. This animation thing is awful. And you can like have it built in the VAB and it works, and then you put it into the real space in Kerbal Space Program, and then it just, you enter a scene one day and it loses everything that you stored in it. And we're going to be storing 18 panels, which is 36 angles of animation in this thing. Fuck me. This is almost a waste of time. Open the editor, just because the game sucks. Just because the people who made the game also made the new Matrix film. Action groups. So, in the Cal 1000 controller, we'll start with all of the forward animations? All of these, right? So I need you to be your target angle. And then, should I do them all one at a time, or should I grab all of the angles? Let's grab all of the angles first. Because they're starting at the angle that I've already got them to, so all I have to do is take them all the way to 0. That's the brilliant part of the way that we've already put this together. So if I ask you, and I say target angle from you, and then on the other side, I'm just trying to have a formula for how I'm doing. You won't go up that high? Well, fuck you then. Target angle. Do you respect these as two different separate things, even though it's showing them as snapped together objects? Oh, I'm totally going to break the game, everybody. This is not going to work, and we're going to put a lot of effort into it and then find out that it didn't work, and then, yeah. I already see this going. You, and then coming in from you, it would be that. Target angle. And then it would be these guys. Target angle. And then you is apparently a separate target angle. Am I allowed to have this many animation points in a single? That we're pushing what the game can do, potentially. I don't know, but it would be my guess. Target angle. This is half of them, is what I'm thinking about right now. It's just the half of them. You. And then you. And the middle boy. And then down here. Target angle. Oh my god. I mean, I already know that this could be problematic, so I have to bear in mind that I'm not allowed to get angry later about the fact that this was problematic. Alright, so we have target angles for the outermost hinge of the yoke, which is left-right for all of them, is the idea. Was going to say, make sure you don't lose your animations like the Minma Space. Not that much of a fan. I think Iron Man 2 is Iron Man 3. This is Armis Color. Yeah, Iron Man 3 was advertised better than it was. I expected to see Tony Stark really go through some shit and have some serious issues, and it's not really what I saw there. I mean, it was fine. It's a Marvel movie. It's fine. So, at this point, target angle is value -9, value's there. So, let's set all the fronts of them to 0. So, boom, 0. And we can change the length afterwards if we want, which is, like, very convenient for the fact that, you know, most people don't get that option with their penis. And then from here, 0 for you, hit enter. There we go. I just got to figure out like a 0 enter, click, 0 enter, click, 0 enter. You just got to get a pattern, a formula, repeat until profit. Tried to do that in the crypto markets. Didn't work out so well for me. 0. 0. 0. But yeah, as awful as this interface is to work with, once you penetrate it, it's you know, then you know what you need to do. So some of these shouldn't be -9. Were some of them not -9 on the value on the furthest? Well, we didn't look, did we? What about you? Let's just play it, right? So now I play. I'll just drag through it and watch it from like an angle. Drag you down here so we can see, and then as I drag, zeros. Beautiful. Beautiful. I already had them configured to the position that I wanted, and then I just made one side 0 so that it would go flat again, and they all just go in random bullshit fucking directions. Thank you, Kerbal Space Program. We love you. I have to presume... So, I'm looking at that one doesn't even fucking move. Did I miss one? Hey, you. Target angle. I presume it'll be the bottom one because it was added last. You... R0, and then you are 5. So you're not the bottom one. Fuck. Fuck. Which one are you? Huh? You're in here. How do I know which one you are? You don't, because this game sucks. Mosaic Task Force. 49 months of subscriptions at Tier 2. It's a $10 subscription on a 49-month streak. Where the fuck are the rest of you with the money? Huh? They just gave the most perfect critical review of Matrix films, and here I am making the James Webb Telescope and Mosaic Task Force and the Cute Shark are the only people giving me money right this second. Come on. Found this channel looking for Roman porn, not dissatisfied with the content, 10 out of 10 worth of sub. He's new to the channel. Diggity D, there we go, alright, 17 months. Thank you, Diggity D, and Mosaic Task Force and Cute Shark for the subscriptions. Oh, if only more people would... I'm not trying... Am I trying to do that? Like Guy 89. Tier 2 sub, another $10 sub at 20 months. Alright. Let's keep this gravy train going. These cats need to be... spayed, actually. It's another thing that's going on. if you wanted to ask me. Giga 8i, first time subscriber, tier 1 sub. Thank you so much, Giga 8i. Oh, that's gonna help me pay for the cats being spayed. We have 3 kittens, 3 new kittens. They're all women, they're all ladies, they're all girls. They've all got the clitori. That's what we call them, the clitori. They come in, they just as a pack. Look out, the clitori are here. Like Guy 89 gifting 5 subs, just in case he couldn't be bothered, asshole. If any of you 5 were planning to sub, you need to gift it along. Like Guy 89 is gifted a sub too with Miscolored. Ooh, hello Miscolored. How are you? Miscolored, Aoraz, Flak Magnet 81, Onto Edge, and Betel Rock. Welcome to the Big Dick Club. Miscolored. Cats and their clitoris. Cat clitori. That's what's going. Oh, damn it! I'm never gonna get to talk about my cat's vaginas. Little Magnets has gifted another 12 subs to Miocon Aerospace. It's Pooty, Seacrack Boy, Blue Raccoon, Dramacian, ECLGMG, Roros is Glass MTTV. It's better than the MTVs. They really fucked that up with Viacom. Tsupef, Gohan 0646, Stex 3. It's R White. Yes, R White. That's what they call white, and it's more like a pinkish kind of a. And Baruti. Ooh, I like Baruti. Baruti's good. Let's go. Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. Look at all of the little icons that people with subscriptions have. Did I take out the one of my penis? Because that was a joke. Twitch never needed to see that happened. Because it didn't happen. I'm making it up, Twitch. I never posted my penis as an emote, and you never approved it. And we didn't use it here, and it wasn't funny. And I didn't delete it before you caught me. Those are all true statements. Those are all true statements, is the thing. Thank you so much. Jesus Christ. Little Magnets for the 12 bomb sub gift sub, and Like 89 for the gift bomb sub gifts, and then Giga 8i for just like being like, hey, I'll spend my own money. I'm looking through the damn hinges looking for the one that isn't already configured to be where it's supposed to be, and it is this one. It was the bottom one. How did I? Oh, because I was looking at the time and not the value. I'm an idiot. So the value goes to 0. Boom, and then yes. Okay, so that solves everything. Look, if I just zoom out and then I play the animation, then, you know, boom. Now everything works the way it's intended to. This fucking game. My cats have vaginas. 3 of them. Each of the cat has 3 vaginas? See a vet. There are 3 kittens. They all have vaginas, and that means that they don't get neutered, they get spayed because there's less balls to be chopped off. And they need to be spayed, and it's like spaying a cat is like $200 or something like that. And there's 3 of them. But more importantly than that is just that Kelly in particular has hit puberty a little bit earlier than the others. Pretty sure they're all part of the same. They're all part of the same litters. They came out. She must have come out the pussy first. She has definitely hit the puberty. She's walking around. She's doing like this cat sound. I don't know if you ever heard a kitten in the heat go. She's doing that, and then we got two fully grown adult boy cats lived here with me 5 fucking years, and she is like I saw her the other day. I walked in the living room, no joke, I'm not kidding, this isn't like I'm faking Twitch out into thinking that I made a picture of my dick and they approved it and then we deleted it. This is different. This actually happened. I went out in the living room, I walk out there, and I see, okay, paws, adult boy cat. He's sitting there. He doesn't have any balls. We neutered him. He's sitting there and he's like got a leg up, right? And he's not even like licking himself, you know? He's licking himself, but he's not like licking himself. He's like the inner thigh. He's cleaning himself is what it appears to me. And I watch as Kelly, this little kitten girl in heat, just like kind of crawls along the floor over to his crotch, puts her head in his crotch, and I believe I'm not close enough to see tongue movement. I'm not, these actions are between cats. I'm not a voyeur over here. She sidles over, puts her head in his crotch, and then because now her head is like right next to where he was licking, now he's like licking her head as she's maybe giving him head, and there's just this whole head thing going on, his head triad of I don't know what was happening, but there was a lot of tongue, there were a lot of heads, they were all in one crotch at the same time. We got to get these cats spayed was my point, is because I saw that, and meanwhile she's walking around, and she comes in here and she wants like pets and loving and stuff, and every time I pet her I just see like her fucking thighs and ass like open, you know, she's like kind of a thing. It's like, we're not doing that. I've heard about the Q-tip thing that you can do to try. You're not getting that from me. We need to cut something. Somebody get me a scalpel, because none of this stuff is happening. Sounds like you should have a biologist. I should get a biologist around here so that they can give me a scalpel so that I can cut something. I don't know what I need to cut, but it needs to be cut. And apparently it costs $200 to have somebody else cut it. So somebody cue me up a fucking YouTube video, because I ain't got $200. I'll buy a $6 scalpel from Indie Baba or China Ship Amazon, and we'll get a scalpel in here, and I'll boil it, and then I'll just maybe I'll miss a couple of times, but I'll hit something sooner or later. It's gonna $200. It's a lot of money. And that's $200 per cat. Had to clean out my ears for this stream point. You sounded fuzzy and earwaxious. But that's the problem between you and your ears, right? Look at what we've done to the James Webb Space Telescope. It's not. That ain't right. That ain't right. And so I'm looking at, like, this whole row is turning out instead of in. This whole row is turning out instead of in. The top two are turning out instead of in. And then you guys aren't supposed to have angles. Who gave you angles? I never gave you a fucking angle. A left to right angle? You don't have that. The fuck is your problem? Huh? None of you should... And now I don't know which ones they are in the fucking list, because it's forever. It's a list of 18 things, and there's 18 more to go in here. And when you click on them, it doesn't highlight it in the track editor, which is something that no designer could have seen as something that you might want to do, right? That's just impossible. What the fuck are you talking about? Can I, could I target angle you to 0? Why did they all get the same... I feel like that's what happened here, is that they all got the same target angle, even though they all had independent, unique target angles that I gave them. And then they just... something. But I won't know, if I do this and I fix these, I won't know which in the list are the ones... God damn this fucking camera. I won't know. You're not supposed to have a -9. Neither are these supposed to have a -9. They're like a -4 or something. Like, I figured out what I wanted to do for all of these things, and then I put it into the animation, and they're all fucked. Yeah, this sucks. This, you know what this means? This means that I have to do them all individually, one at a time, to make sure that they're correct, instead of what, you know, makes fucking sense, which was I positioned all of them at the angle that they needed to be, and then I brought them in, and then I put one side of their animation to 0. That's all that had to happen here. If the people who designed this game would have, you know, designed this game, if they would have made it They would have made the game if they would have done that. That would have been good, right? We can all agree. So yeah, for left to right, actually, nothing in here needs to have any animation whatsoever. Right, well, you're still selecting that. I just want to, like, if I right-click on you, are you at a 0? You're at a 0. Are you at a 0? You're at a 0. All right, the top two are definitely at a 0. These are 4s, is what they are. I think. That's how I did that. Did I do it that way? But you did it from inside to out as well? No, it should be the same amount of angle left to get back to center, and then it's a difference of up and downness. It doesn't seem right. Yeah. Start from the outest outside that's in line. This one is definitely going to be with the, and then target angle for you. You're definitely, you go from a 0. Your value is negative. Oh, right. So, but you go from a 0. No, that's the length. 0 to, you are in the correct position. So a -9. So if I do that, there you go. You deploy like that. That is correct. I'm just going to do them one at a time then. Fuck it. So we'll take this as well. And give me target angle on you. And you are apparently... You also have a value of a -9. That is incorrect. You do not have a value of a -9. You have a value of a 0. Because you don't need to have an angle because you never change because you're at the dead center of the thing. Yes. So no, you don't need to be there, friend. God damn it. Oh, this is going to be so fun. So fun. Fun is what it's going to be. Are all these on the outsides left just going to be -9 then? Because they're the furthest out? It seems like you would need the harshest angle back in actually at the corners. And so this one would be more like a -8 or something. Let's just we need to I just need to set up like a pattern, and then I can follow that pattern. And it doesn't really matter what it is, because it'll look fine once we're done. I just want something that's theoretically reasonable. So add the target angle for you, and you are also in the right positioning. You're a -9. I just need your first animation cycle to be a 0. And we're going to do them all at once, right? Okay, so what are you at? You're at a 4. I'm just going to go along with what I did before, so add your target angle. And this hinge is also showing it, and everything shows it a -9. So bear that in mind, pawn. It's all going to lie to you all the time. It's Kerbal Space Program. Huzzah. Alright, so then... See that? Except for it's going in the wrong direction. How the fuck is that? Alright, so you need to be a 4, not a -4. There you go. Huh? That's the kind of deployment we're looking for, baby. But yeah, this is going to be nasty, especially considering that it could all just go away at some point. It can all just disappear. But we'll do the work, and then we'll blame and be angry with Kerbal in its due time. So you, being a top, right to left, where it's a -9 because you're the furthest out at the furthest thing. So you are a -9, but then your 0 point is a 0. And then if I play it, your -9 actually takes you to the wrong place. So you apparently need to be a 9. Okay, and then for your y-axis yoke, add the target angle in for you. Should be at the bottom, right? And then what are you right now? You should be a 4. Yes. So your final value would be a 4. Your first value would be a 0. And then just like stand back and check all of them at once. You're turning that one over there too, which is fine because it's working right now. Why, though? Because you're linked together? Okay, I guess I'll deal with that also. Even though you're not turning these, you're just turning the one in the middle. Oh, God. So then over here is the next place. You here. This will be the entire live stream from here on out. I hope you're into this. Hope this is just like your kink. This is what you... This is what gets you up in the morning. It gets you up in the morning. You're going to be a 0. It's always going to be a 0 to start, but then you would be a -9 or a 9, if not a negative. There you go. And then you do that. And then on the vertical axis, another target angle, and you should be a 4. You are. So, first point goes to 0, second point goes to 4. Yep. Very nice. You know what? Here's how crazy I am. When I was thinking about this in my head, once upon a time, listen to me. When I was thinking about this, I was like, ooh, I mean, it would take a little bit of effort, but wouldn't it be cool if I programmed in an animation where they do like a synchronized testing kind of thing where they go all around in 360 and then go? Yeah, good fucking luck with that, whoever decides to take that one up. No thank you. No sir, may I not have another. Target angle for you will be the bottom one. You want to start with a 0 and you want to end with yes, a -9, unless -9 is the wrong direction, because sometimes it is. No, that's fine. And then on the y-axis, another target angle. Oof. Whose start point is a 0, and whose end point should be a 4 of some kind. I don't know what kind of 4. It could be a -4, it could be a +4. It is a +4. Yeah. Okay. Let's just stand back where there's like some shine on them so that I can see them moving. Yep. They're doing the thing. They're all cutting down and in like they're supposed to. That's 6 of 18. 6 of 18 complete. 6 of 18. Just 12 more. It's actually not that much. I'm making a big thing out of it, but it's not that much to do. It's a lot to do considering that it could all go away because the game decides to, because it just throws it away. So give me your target. We'll start from top to bottom on this. Target angle for you. I don't know what your target angle did be. It's definitely not a -9. So starting at the beginning, it's a 0. And then the deploy angle on you, I guess we'll go with -4. No, we'll go with 4. So that would be a 4 from the outside at the peak of the tip of the top of the tip of the tip. I'm gonna go with a 5 because it's the peak. It probably doesn't need a 5, but it'll look cooler with a 5. So then we'll just do 5s at the outside. We'll do 4s on those interiors. Yeah, maybe. What are you at? You're at a 7 on your target angle. That's reasonable. So give me another target angle from you. Very bottom, that's going to be you. We set you to a 0. We set you to a 7. Or -7. But I don't know until I do it. Yeah, no, that's correct. Okay. And then next guy down. Should be you. I want your left to right first. And your left to right was... No, not traverse rate. I knew I was going to do that sooner or later. Target angle. And your first one is, of course, 0. This one, I said it was going to be a 4 or a 3. Because the other one's a 5. Let's make it a 4. It'll look better when it does it. Are you going in the right direction? Yeah, that's right. And then you, target angle. The bottom guy, your target angle is currently, because we haven't fucked with this, so these should be the way that I add them. Only a 1, huh? Let's make you a 2, just so that there's a little bit more movement here. So you'll start out as a 0, and you'll go to 2. Yeah, they're angling down the way that they should. Good. And then you was this is no you. I click on you like that, and then I pull target angle in, and then that starts as a 0 and goes to -2. No, wait, this is left to right. The left to right that I decided on was a 4? It was a 4. So it'll be a -4, presumably. I presume incorrectly. It's a 4. Yeah. And then the outer yoke, target angle. Go to the very bottom. You're at 0 here. If I know I'm gonna like forget one of these zeros. And then the -2, is that right? Yes. Yeah, they're all doing the thing now. And thanks to symmetry, it's working on panels that I haven't, worked on. Wow, look at that. It kind of looks like, if you stare at the panels for a minute, especially like these ones out here, stare at these for a second while I do this. Doesn't it look like they're just like, kind of bulging instead of moving? Like bulging in the middle? Huh? Huh? Are you tripping out yet? How are your balls? Are you tripping balls? I mean, those are two separate questions. So first, how are your balls? Start there. Target angle on you. Very bottom guy. A true artist. 6 of 9. Ooh, no, 7 of 9. We want 7. What does 6 look like? I don't remember her. So you start with a 0. This being down here. What the fuck was my number for the horizontal on that? 5s, right? So I gotta go to this one, and then is it a -5 or is it a 5? It's gonna be a 5, apparently. I think it was 5s. And I can double check that by going up to the top one that I set and checking you. You're at a 5, yes. See, I remember. I'm not as think as you drunk I am. Another target angle for you. And again, at the beginning, it should be a 0. And at the end, you're a... These were all 2s? No, we're at the outside now. These are 5s. -5? Yeah, well, how is it that I'm always wrong? They need to be... occasionally, it's got to be possible that I'm not always wrong. Let me just check that, too. So no, it would be the inside one. You're a 7 up and down, and then a 5 on the exterior. And then we're working on the up and down right now, which means you need to be a 7 as well. Yeah. And that gets us to the 9 that one gets eventually. So, step back. Double check, everything's fine at this point. From the other angle. Everything we set seems to be turning in the direction that we told it to turn. Looks good. And it's just the middle column now. Just those middle 4. And those middle 4 won't have any left or rights. They just need ups and downs, is what they need. So starting from the top, you, friend, give me your target angle in my animation. Start at a 0. Nope. End at a 9. Okay. What did I have for you? Your target angle was a 4? You're just a little 4? I'm gonna make you a 5. Does that sound like dirty? Target angle me. 0 to a 5. Is it a 5? Have I got the wrong thing? Am I twisting it left or right? Nope. Nope, you're fine. Good, good, good. I love how it pulses. Would it be quicker to make this in Blender than in KSP? Probably. Yeah, make it in Blender and then just import it as one object. I mean, if we got Linux Guru Gamer in here to do the animation for us in Blender, then I'll do the modeling. LGG can handle the everything else. Okay, so it's you in the middle, and it should just be the outer yoke. Target angle. You, sir, start at a 0, and end at presumably a -5. Nope, still a 5. Still 5s. Okay, and then you, yeah, give me the target angle of that thing that you can stand on. Target angle. Bottom one. 0. And you are full deployment. +9? No, you're a -9. The one above it was a positive something, but this one's a negative. Oh, no, that's with the, and then you didn't, you're doing it on the wrong. It's 0, and then click on you, and then you're a 9. Positive? Are you positive about that? Come on, zoom the fuck out. God damn it. Apparently we're as zoomed out as we can be. Alright. Hit it. Just find a number of different angles to look at it from. Looks right to me. We've done the animation. Now watch it fucking disappear. Set it to a 0. Okay, so step 1, fucking click the save button. And then on custom 1, on custom 0. And put it on custom 0, and the idea would be the controller. You toggle the direction of play, and you play it at the same time. Right, and then you would want this to start at the end so that when it something's and then the other, I don't know. But that should like allow us to press 0 and then it will and all of those things have like a locking mechanism to them to hold it in place after you get it in place. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to make an action group that locks them all and unlocks them all. I think it'd be kind of cool if they had a drift to them and then we had to occasionally hit the 0 button twice to get it back into its flower form. But that's pretty fucking awesome. I'm glad to have that done. Save, 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 save. Save again. I'm going to go to the Mark 6 so that we know that the Mark 5 saved that. Because I did. I definitely did. We all saw me save it. I saved it. It's saved. Don't fucking lie to me. And I'm saving the Mark 6 too. Can it fly with all that flip-flop? I mean, we're just gonna put it under a fairing and throw it to space. So yeah, should be able to. Like, can it flip flop with all the flip flabby and the flabbity flu? I mean, it's gonna be going up like that too. So there's that. So if I did that, and then in here, hit the play pause. It happens over 5 seconds. Make that faster if I wanted. And then play direction. Oh, that's the deal, is that you leave the play direction set in reverse so that the first time that you fire it, it will switch the direction to forward and then play. That's what I always forget to do. Okay. Alright. Now we've got that. Was that beneficial? It was actually necessary because in order to build the focusing mirror boom arms and everything like that, I need this to be completely flat. So now that it's completely flat, and this is how it looks when it's folded up, and I love that you can see those little like rises and stuff. Like you just barely get little glimpses of the fact that there's light passing between them. That's so good. Yeah, now we need to build the boom arm for the focusing mirror, which needs to the hinge of the hinge point of the hinge needs to be right out here. You know, it needs to be boom. Are you flat? You don't seem as flat as... Don't worry about it, point. I'm not going to worry about it, though. But it needs to be, like, breaching that edge so that when it folds up, it folds up. At the very least, flat. It would be better if it folded up with a little bit of an angle coming back at the thing. That's not going to happen. We need it just flat against it. Which means the hinge needs to be kind of even leaned toward the front of that panel. Which we saw earlier when we were looking at structural options here. If I were to just put a panel on to that. Wow, this is doing them in all 4 directions. That's not helpful, actually, now. It was only doing it in 2 directions previously. Now it's doing it in 4. That's cool. Yeah, just 2. Remember when it was just attaching to 2 different places? And now it's attaching to either all 4 or none. Wow, this game. Oh! What are you attached to? I don't know what it attached to. But I'll take it. Yeah, what are you attached to? It's probably attached to one of the... Oh, Jesus. No. No. Aha! And that's in all 4 places. That's in all 4 places. All those are in all 4 places. What about you? That's in all 4 places. You're in all 4 places. Attaching to you gets me there. But then that won't rotate with the... That's okay. It doesn't need to rotate. Oh, that's the thing, is that I'm attaching it in the wrong place. That's why. See, because it's supposed to attach down here where we do have a double. Huh? That's where it is. Because these fold. I should fold them in so I don't get confused like that again. You. Like that. And then the panels are, you know, there. They exist. Their only purpose is to be something to build off of. And what we'd be building off of is the mounts for our hinges that will attach to our boom that will hold our focusing mirror that goes out in front of this thing. I need to extend out a bit before I attach the hinge. No, you don't. I mean, okay, if you say so. That's the lightest weight hinge, right? What do you look like? What's your size? it could be made to work. It would be a little bit light. So let's go up to the next one, which is fucking monstrous by comparison. On a snap, if I were to... We need them to straight up to the top, and that might be the best angle for that. And I know we're penetrating through it right now, but it's a process is what it is. And then the other thing is, if I put them on... I don't even need this, do I? Like, if I got rid of you, and I just put an alligator hinge... wrong one. You have everything unlocked. This is creative mode, so yeah. I don't even need those. If I did like this. And I just had you... Or even just hung off of the edge of one of those. That could... And then your mom. Let's start with this. Because if this were like on the back of one of the panels... Right up in the back of that panel... Then when the target angle is like this, it would fold around it like a little sandwich thing, and we could have our boys up there. My boys! Snapping. Bring it in like that. And then when it's ready to deploy, they come down to, we would lock it out at the angle limit. Wouldn't even be 90 for the angle that this is going to need, but we'll lock it to 90 for now. And then it would just do like that. A Webb telescope should have a bit more hentai. The tentacles go on later. We're not there yet. God. Science. No. We were going to do more robotics for this. And it was going to be the biggest friggin' goddamn motherfucking, all of those words, hydraulic that we've got. Put in line. Maybe drawn back. And then another biggest goddamn motherfucking hydraulic that we've got. Put in line. And then you, target extension. And you, target extension. And then when we grab this, and we fold it up. Okay. It needs to, fold over and up to the top, is a bit of a thing. Ooh. So now we can see how those fold. I've already got a pretty good idea in my head of how it will work for us. Okay. Oh, fucking K. So you guys, with a snap, but if I hold shift and I go back by 1, that's probably pretty reasonable for, I don't need the animation anymore. Okay? It's just James Webb fucking telescope thing. Give me the images. I don't want to see how wrong I'm doing it. I just want see what I see when I see it. Yeah, they're at the corners. I've got it at the corners. And then they come up and they're pretty much in line with the hex of the top ones. And that's damn close, is what we're looking at there. It's damn close. I could go with that. Or I could be a prick and be into the minutia and be like, these should be more like that. If I go back to the previous, it's a snapping point. I think we should stick with snapping point for the sake of sanity. There are no images for James Webb Telescope. That is a really good pun, though. James Webb Telescope. Oh, I like that. Crazy thing is they're already planning the next one with a 15-meter mirror. Maybe we can still suggest names for it. James Webb Telescope. Sun shields are going to be hard. Yeah, I don't know what, dear Jonas, what the hell I would possibly do. I actually do. I've already got an idea for it. I thought about it. I don't know if it'll work. But, I mean, it's, in my head, it's just deployable solar panels or radiators. Because we're not going to get anything that, like, simulates stretching out in the base game except for those pieces. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I've got a slight question here, which is, what if it were that way instead? Well, that would happen, apparently. Okay. Okay, yeah, no, sure, me too. There you go. And what if it were like that? Because these would never be not deployed. Like, they're locked, yes. 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 Bueller. 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 A little bit of kind of riding my junk there with how close it is. But it'll do. It'll be fine. It'll do fine. You can extend that just by dragging these out a little bit, huh? Yeah. Still good, solid connections between you and the hinges. And where the hinges are, I could actually get more out of it just by taking it to the end of the hinge. Yeah, I mean, I kind of hate it. I hate that it does that it looks like it looks. Bring it down. Like there. You don't look like you're centered on those anymore either. Still not perfectly centered, but hey. Okay. So that gets us all the way up to there with those two. And the thing is, James Webb Telescope here. These, you know, the structural stability of this is based on the fact that these things are all connected. They all touch one another, and that is possible, isn't it? We would have to do this with docking ports for them to all be connected, because otherwise, like, for us to be able to build the third arm needs to attach to a centerpiece here that is where the reflecting mirror would be, that gets and it's put down there. If we built the reflecting piece and then built the arm back, then we wouldn't be attached to this side of the panel in any way. If we attach from this side of the panel and start building up, then we won't be attached to the centerpiece that we're supposed to be attached to, and we're attached to the centerpiece where we're supposed to be attached. Because that's just how Kerbal works. But because docking ports can now interact with each other on the same vessel, we can do something. We can... I can build it in such a way that the moment that it spawns in to real space, a docking port back here, like the third leg of this thing, locks up to a docking port that's on the back of here. And then when we extend it, it'll be putting pressure on all of those points, which will probably rip itself apart. Third leg. Have I been here long enough to do a live stream? I have. We've been recording for an hour and 20 minutes, and the recording broke after the first hour and 20 minutes. We're going to take another live stream break so I can step away and try and think about how the next bit of this comes together. A stock KSP James Webb Telescope. We're going to save it. We're going to leave. And then stay tuned across this 7-minute live stream break, because when you come back, you can find out whether or not the fucking animation that we took the first hour making still exists in this travesty of a game. So 7 minutes, sometimes 8, occasionally 9, never 10. 7-minute live stream break. Grab a pee, take a beer, meet me back here, pawn that out.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, I am the Ronan Paulin, and welcome back to twitch.tv/Ronan Paulin live stream on twitch.tv/Ronan Paulin, your only source for conversations about transgenderism based off of a cat going into heat. That's what. Welcome back to the live stream. Listen, we've animated the James Webb Telescope. Look at it. Look, wait. All right, number one. Let me redeploy. We're going to just target angle. They need to come out to probably like there eventually. 70-degree angle actually looks pretty good. I might just go ahead and put that in as a, for now, kind of limitation on how much these can deploy. So we've got the boom arms for the reflective mirror, in a state. They're in a way. They can fold up. Just two out of three. Those are the easy ones. But importantly, and we've also got that the telescope can deploy thusly. Boom. And then wait though, because we've also got like a giant fucking animation. No, it's fine. We've got an animation box. So when I hit the play button, nothing will happen because it's in reverse mode. When I enable the correct direction and press play, you almost didn't see anything happening there. Let me just, again, set it back. And then, okay, you guys are moving too, because you're moving with the panels that I attached you to. Oops. Don't pay attention to those. Watch as the mirrors fold into their correct position based off of our two hinge yoke design, so we can store it as flat for going to space, and then that's a thing. That is a thing that I hadn't. So now we've seen that that's a thing, but we don't have to see that that's a thing. If we don't want to, we'll just fold it up and pretend that never happened for now. So that's where we are. The first hour and a half of this live stream was about Matrix Resurrections movie, whatever the fuck it is, and this just at this point I would like to have slight conversation, a little deviation from the plan here, about transgender issues and cats being in heat. What do you have a problem? Giga 8 I should fix my sleep pattern, but no, I can't stop watching a guy play with hinges. Well, maybe it's a good time to go to bed, because trans rights, says a cute shark. Yes, so here's where my mind went during the live stream break. This is just a rare, by which I mean a common and regular view that you get into my brain during these live streams. Is I was thinking about, I got these 3 kittens, right? And the 3 kittens were born about 6 months ago, probably, which I'm determining by the fact that one of the 3 kittens is just spreading that badge for anything that will come around. She is walking around with a... She's making that little kitten sound that sounds like an owl in heat or something. It's a dove. I don't know what it is, but it's like... He's rubbing up against things. She was licking the boy cat's crotch the other night. He doesn't have balls. He doesn't know what to do with that, but I'm sure he enjoyed it. He was licking her head as she was giving him head. So, it's just what I was thinking during the live stream break is that, so my generation, go fuck yourself. You don't need to know my age. Generation old as my tongue, slightly older than my teeth, is our like media, our cultural zeitgeist of what was on television, what was in the movies in terms of sexuality, and in terms specifically of the male-female relationship, always cast the male as a sexual predator, basically. There wasn't a good guy, a bad guy, a no guy in a movie. They all were defined by libido. It was all, you couldn't have a guy save a building from terrorists without having to grab a girl and kiss her at the end, kind of a thing. At the very minimum level, it was pretty much all characters and all, especially like romantic comedies and things like that. Even the good guy, the guy who's like not controlled by his libido, but who is, generally enamored with this other woman who doesn't know who exists, whatever that, crappy plot line is that they always use in movies. Whatever was going on there, it did nonetheless come back to the idea, it did hinge at some point upon the male libido. It did hinge on the, I've got a dick, I gotta put it somewhere. Men are always looking for something to fuck. That is the basic concept that my entire generation's worth of media was built around. That a man is a penis first and everything else later. And then the good guy in the story, who you wanted to get with the girl, he had more going on, surely, yes, absolutely, but it was always acknowledged that there was also that. There's because the pairing up would always be, there's the guy who you're supposed to like, and then there's his friend who's just a fucking hound dog, and who maybe doesn't actually get any because he's such a hound dog, but he's the guy who's just always talking about sex. What did you do with her last night? And oh, you should have, and they were all lies or something like that. But you had that guy who you're not supposed to like, but he's supposed to be like, the friend, and then you got the guy who you're supposed to like, who's our protagonist, who we're going to follow around for the movie, and he's this guy's friend, number one. Number two, he will participate in conversations occasionally, a little bit here and there about, it'd be good to fuck a girl, something like that. There will be something like that. But like the defining characteristic of the good guy was that while being a man and therefore basically just a dick looking for a hole, he also has some kind of emotional availability to him and is looking for more than just a hole in which to shove said dick. But that is ultimately what he is looking for, but it's not his like number one priority. Like a really good guy was just fucking something was like number 3 or 4 or something like that. But then and more importantly, so that's like how men were presented. Men are dogs. Men are just looking for something to fuck. That's pretty much all they are. That is their identity, not only sexual, but just persona-wise, that's a man. Women, okay, for my generation in terms of media, were quite the opposite, okay? Like, sex is something that they passively acknowledge the existence of, kind of a thing. A woman would, you might almost say, like, in media and in stories and whatnot, a woman would tolerate the idea of sexual relations as it would be an expression of the emotional connection with which she had with her mate. Something along those lines. And that is to say nothing of, these are like the good, these are the better representations in society, because more, like, not necessarily more often, but just as equally, you would see that a woman is not really a sexual character, but is using her sex in order to acquire, the lifestyle that she wants, the person that she wants, the money that she wants, in order to have the children that she wants. It was never about the sex. A woman's libido barely existed at all and was there to be coaxed out by the oppressive and overwhelming libido of the man, whom the best of them was only basically mildly in control of that libido. Most of them had no control whatsoever. If a sufficiently moist entrance presented itself into which they could penetrate, then they were going to penetrate it. But the best of them would have some discerning standards for the moistness of that hole. That was how media was presented. throughout, television and movies and everything while I was growing up and throughout my generation. And so, how does this relate to a cat going into heat and transgender rights? It relates to those things in that today things have changed, and I'm so happy for them, and it has a lot to do with the efforts and hard work that people have done in, getting just the ability to exist on a spectrum of sexuality that does not fall directly into the idea that a man is a penis with a body attached to him and a woman is a heart and or pocketbook attached with breasts and a vagina attached to her. That the idea of the spectrum that has come so much into, that has started to be acknowledged by society here in 2022, we're talking about, has done great things for cis people, is kind of a way to sum that up, because, a woman can have a libido now, like outside of the spectrum where people stop, wanting to be defined exclusively by their hereditary and their birth organs and shit like that, in the category of people who are fine just being with that, just call me a man, call me a woman. Those people now have the right to be themselves as well. Where a woman can have a libido and she's not necessarily just a whore, because that's also how the media always presented that. On the other end of the spectrum of, women as a whole were libidoless people who you had to coax out the tiny little bit of libido that they would have, and then they would tolerate having sex with you. And then there were occasionally, or actually quite often, there was the example of the woman who broke the rule by being a whore. Because she, enjoyed sex and sought it out the way that a man would in all of these movies, just as default, So a woman can now have a libido, and a man does not have to be defined first and foremost by his penis. And, isn't it nice to live in a world that is, representative of the world in which we live? A world that is representative of itself. Isn't that nice? Because the reason that my mind turns to all of this is that I got kittens here. And when you see an animal that you saved from being outdoors saved. We brought these 3 kittens inside. Their mother had them, and she started coming around with the kittens, and then we formed a relationship with the kittens, and then one of the kitten got sick and died, and the other last 3 we brought inside and made them, house cats, and made them our cats, and they're not going to go outside anymore, and we got rid of the fleas, hopefully, and all of that sort of a thing. When you've got 6-month-old kittens, they're all girls, and they start triggering into their puberty cycle, and one of them is, just splaying their ass cheeks out. Every time you reach down to pet them, it's like, yeah, you want to pet back there? And it's like, no, I don't. Not going to do that. Thank you. This is fine. There is a reality of the animal world from which we all come, that there is libido, and really one of the things that makes me reflect on very much is how the fuck did any of us survive puberty? I mean, so there are, again, acknowledging the spectrum kind of a thing, and saying that there are people for whom, sex is not a thing, just non-binary, what's the term I'm thinking, just asexual people. But for the majority of us who fall somewhere on the sexual plane, I have seen before this female cat just gone into heat, and she's walking around, baby, just slinging it at every corner that she can find. I have watched as my first cat, Paws, who was the one getting head from the kitten the other day. My first cat, Paws, I refused to have him neutered until very late in the cycle of a cat's puberty. And I did that just because it seemed like such a barbaric, unnatural thing, and the way that people talked about it seemed to me to have more to do with their own convenience than the cat's well-being. Like, I don't want the cat walking around spraying and, this and that and the other thing. And so I waited long to just see for myself, like, if Paws is fine as an indoor cat who didn't have his balls cut off, but who's not gonna go out and fuck anything, then, you know, I have no reason to cut his balls off. If he squirts some bad smelling shit in a corner occasionally, I'll treat it like when he does anything else bad, and don't do that, and we'll go through his puberty cycle together, we'll be on the other side of it. I ended up getting him neutered because he was fucking miserable. Because he was just in pain. I could fucking feel it in his bones and his fucking teeth that he was in pain from the inability to go drain his nugs in a mating cycle that has been programmed through evolution since the beginning of life on this planet. He was in fucking pain. It was torturous. It was awful for him. He was just stressed out. His stomach was a rock. He's just kind of a thing. And then I said, okay, there's a reason to have them neutered that isn't just selfish. I don't want to have to deal with them being in puberty. And so I got him neutered. And because I did so, late actually, he has a weight issue. I threw his hormones way the fuck off by waiting. I wish that somebody could have communicated to me in a way that didn't seem like they were just trying to fill in the gap after they, tried to convince me that it was in my best interest because of my best interest. But yeah, I threw his hormones way the fuck off. I've got two of them. They are brothers from a different father, and one of them is skinny, you can pick up with one hand, and Paws is like, he's a big boy. And they both eat the same. Like, there's very little difference between what they do, but one of them is fat. And it's Paws, and it's his fucking hormones being out of whack. I have no doubt. But having seen that, and then seeing, this female kitten that we've brought in, going into her puberty stage, and she doesn't know what to do with the energy, and she's looking for something to fuck, kind of a thing. This is like the reality of the animal world from which we emerge, because we're not actually emerged from it. We are still it, because we are very much still animals and all of that thing. And yet, all of that content of my youth would have, did entirely ask me, you, and everybody to believe that that's not the way things are. That men are the source of libido, women have none, and just seeing a cute little 6-week-old female kitten walk around with just wide vaginal lips, waiting for anything, demanding something, it's being in touch with the reality of sexuality on a planet full of animals whose survival depended on these evolutional structures, kind of a thing, and seeing it, which simultaneously does beg the question, how the fuck did any of us get through puberty without fucking? For those of us who who did, I mean, it's so, like, again, societal and educational, and what the movies and the TV tell you and everything like that, and obviously what your parents want, because they don't want to deal with pregnancies and things like that. The amount of, like, social conditioning that exists in order to try and counteract the entirely natural and, in fact, physically painful change of becoming a sexual being that has been programmed for millions, if not billions of years to mate at this time. How the fuck did any of us get through it is a slight question. But my main thought was, about the cats and the kittens and stuff, and also about just a thank you to the hard work that gets a lot of people killed still, and beaten and all kinds of bad things, and still keeps people on the outside of society, but that has been done by people who never felt as though they fit anywhere within those structures that movies and television were telling us, and demand and fight for the ability to be who they are, as they are, where they are, thereby widening the field wherein a comfortably cis person gets to exist and feel like they're not lying about something. So white cis male saying thank you? I mean, I've done some things and worn some dresses, and there's a dick or two in my past. It's, you know, but I'm saying, I'm not the whitest, not the cissest. Yeah, no, both of those I'll stand behind. A tomboy cat could be observed, but it would be very hard to spot if it's because they identify as another gender. Oh God, have I started off a conversation about gender in chat? I suppose that's entirely, it's not really what I was talking about. It was more about sex, but it certainly plays into it all, doesn't it? And that's the whole point, is that sex and gender are, you know, kind of inextricably related, but not in any way that, like, demands one conform to the other. It's all a spectrum, and the further that we get down the zeitgeist of our society recognizing that it all exists on a spectrum, the more free all of us are, regardless of where you choose to identify on that spectrum. And so cis people should be very happy that transgender people have done so much fucking work just to, not for them, not at all for them. Go fuck yourselves, you had everything. But, you know, you've benefited too, be thankful. Societo, with 4-month subscription, thanks for keeping me entertained on these cold winter days. It's what I'm here for. That and building James Webb telescopes. And I'm 1 for 2 today. One for 2. Firewatch videos were good. Yeah, I still like those Firewatch videos. I mean, Firewatch is an incredible game. It helped uplift my entertainment or my comedy. Just that it was an incredibly fucking good game that I just need to get Lady Pawn to play. She's watched much of it, if not all, of Firewatch at some point. But things that I need to get her to play. I need her to play Riven. It's my favorite game of all time, Riven. Firewatch, sure, that's on the list. The hell else? There's so many other things that I've been like, you need to play them. You need to enjoy the things that I enjoy because we're in a relationship. Deal with it, bitch. That's what I say. I shout that. And the weird thing is she's cool with it. She actually smiles and laughs and enjoys it. We'll keep fighting the good fight, not for you, but for us. And like you, may benefit as well. Wouldn't that be nice? I mean, doesn't really matter to me. You keep working on it, and my world gets better. That has got to be the feeling, though, right? Ever played Bioshock? Yes, it's good. It's good, but it didn't grab me. Not in the places that my kittens want to be grabbed, anyway. People, here's the thing. We went to a live stream break. I'm supposed to be working on the James Webb Telescope. I feel like we've had just a fucking brilliant live stream today. I want to end on a high note. I think thanking transgender, non-binary, and people who first and foremost exist somewhere on the spectrum as opposed to exist as cis people or exist as on an exact point. Thanking them for their hard work at making my life better is just the best way that we could go out. I am the Ronin Pawn, and I'm sorry we didn't get much. We did work that needed to be done on the telescope. It's just some days you feel like, you know, you gotta go in the sandbox and you push the truck over there, and then you push the car over there, and then you complain for an hour and a half about a shitty Matrix movie, and then you talk about your cats starting to menstruate, and then you push the car over there, and then that's it. That's all you gotta do, you know? My entertainment exists on a spectrum, and sometimes it leans toward, fuck this shit. Deal with me. Thank you for the stream and the positive message. Thank you so much. Thank everybody who was here, but most of all, thanks to Saito, Little Magnets for the 12 friggin' gift subs, Light Guy 89 for the 5 friggin' gift subs, Giga 8i for his subscription, Diggity D subscribed this stream. What was that? Was it Mosaic Task Force for 49 goddamn months in a row? A Cute Shark also subscribed at the beginning of this. Thank you guys so much for supporting this ridiculous channel that I'm doing right here, where we never get anything done. What's in the title doesn't actually happen. Should we look for somebody? You guys want to watch somebody actually get something done in Kerbal Space Program? I might be able to pull that off for you. I'll look, and then we'll see. If it's another Matrix film, then I can't handle it. Hey, we're on TV. I'll tell you what. Who the hell is this? Pedrock Zaxa TV. Oh, it's Spanish. Are you guys, fluent? Habla español? Habla español? ¿Dónde es tu biblioteca? Ah? Let's go over. Let's go. Let's just do it. All right? And then we don't gotta stick around, but we'll say hello. We'll say hola. Hola, bienvenidos. Watashi wa tosina te son. Oh wait, that's Japanese. Let's do it, huh? Does that work? Did I do it right? We're gonna go over. Huh? I don't know who this is. Probably non español. Well, we'll figure it out. Turn on your Google Translate devices, and I'll see you over there. And I hope to see you at the next live stream. On out.